Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Business English Desk. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jamie. And okay, today we have something a little different.
We do. And before we start, we want to try a little experiment.
So we're going to say two sentences, and we want you to notice whether they mean the same thing or something different.
Ready? Although it was raining, we went for a walk.
Even though it was raining, we went for a walk.
Now, did those feel the same to you?
Most people say yes, and they're almost right, but not quite. And that not quite is exactly what today is about.
Because although, even though, even if, and despite all show contrast, all show that something happened against expectations, but each one works differently, and using the wrong one can sound just slightly off.
And just slightly off is what separates good English from really natural, confident English.
And today we're fixing that permanently. And here's what we have lined up for you. We're going deep into all four with real examples that show the differences clearly.
Then we have a role play between two people having a very honest conversation about a big decision, where all four words come up completely naturally.
Plus 10 fill-in-the-blank sentences in the quiz to test yourself. So stay with us all the way through.
So we're covering although, even though, even if, and despite.
4 words, 1 world of contrast. Let's get into it. Although. So this one is the most classic and the most formal of today's 4. Like, it's the one you'd find in a textbook or an essay or a formal email.
Right, so the core job of although is to introduce a contrast or a surprising fact that goes against what you might expect. Like, although she was tired, she kept working, meaning you'd expect someone tired to stop, but she didn't. That's the contrast, although she was tired.
And although works at the beginning of a sentence or in the middle, like, although it was expensive, it was worth it, or it was worth it although it was expensive. Both work, both natural.
And that flexibility of position is really useful. Like you can lead with the contrast or end with it, depending on what you want to emphasize.
Like, although the film got bad reviews, I really enjoyed it. Puts the emphasis on the surprise, that despite bad reviews, you liked it.
But I really enjoyed the film, although it got bad reviews, puts the emphasis on the enjoyment and adds the contrast as almost an afterthought.
And that difference in emphasis is so subtle, but so important for sounding natural.
And although is often used in writing more than even though, like in essays, reports, formal emails. Although is the go-to. It sounds measured, considered, professional.
Like, although the results were disappointing, the team remained committed. That sounds like a report, like a considered professional observation.
And although versus but is worth noting, like it was expensive but worth it, is more conversational. But although it was expensive, it was worth it sounds more structured, more formal.
And although can sometimes stand alone at the end of a sentence, like it was a good film, although, and then trailing off, meaning there are reservations. Worth noting, although.
That trailing although does so much work. Like it signals, I have thoughts that qualify what I just said. Although.
And everyone instinctively wants to know what comes after the trailing although.
Always. And although always deals with facts, real things, things that happened or are happening. Like, although she studied hard, she didn't pass. That's a real situation that really happened. Although.
So, although introduces a contrast between two real facts, more formal than even though, works at the beginning or middle of a sentence, and is the preferred choice in writing, essays, and professional contexts.
Okay, expression 2, even though. And this one is probably the one you use most often in everyday speech because it has that warm, conversational energy.
Right, so even though does basically the same job as although. It introduces a contrast between two real facts, like even though it was cold, we went for a swim, meaning you'd expect cold weather to stop people from swimming, but it didn't, even though it was cold.
And that's where even though and although are almost identical. Like in many situations, you can swap them and the meaning doesn't change.
But the feeling changes slightly, like even though has more emotional emphasis, more energy. Like even though really leans into the surprise, the unexpectedness, the can you believe it quality of the contrast.
Right, like although she was tired, she kept working. Sounds quite measured, neutral, observational. But even though she was tired, she kept working, sounds more admiring or emphasizing the effort involved.
Like, even though is pushing on the contrast harder. It's almost saying, despite this significant thing, this still happened. The even adds extra emphasis.
And even though is used constantly in spoken English. Like, I went to work even though I felt awful. Or she called him even though she didn't want to. Or even though I knew it was wrong, I did it anyway. All completely natural, all every day.
And even though always deals with real situations, real facts, things that happened or are happening, like although it's about reality, not hypotheticals.
And this is where it separates from even if, which we'll get to next. But for now, even though is real, it happened. Even if is hypothetical, it might happen.
And even though can only go at the beginning of a sentence or at the start of a clause, like even though it rained, we had fun. But you can't really put it at the end, like although can trail off at the end, even though less so.
And even though is often used to express personal feelings or experiences, like, I love this city, even though it's incredibly expensive. That has a personal, emotional quality that although doesn't quite capture.
Right, like although this city is expensive, I love it. Sounds like an objective observation, but I love this city even though it's incredibly expensive. Sounds like you're sharing your heart.
And that difference is so important for sounding natural in real conversation. So even though does the same job as although, shows contrast between two real facts, but has more emotional emphasis, more energy, more conversational feel, and is the go-to choice in everyday speech.
Okay, expression 3, even if. And this one is where things get really interesting, because this is the one most people mix up with even though.
Right, and the difference is actually really clear once you see it. Like, even though is about reality, something that happened or is happening. But even if is about a hypothetical, a condition, something that might happen or might be true. Like, I would go even if it rains, meaning rain hasn't happened yet, it might, but even in that hypothetical situation, I would still go, even if.
And that hypothetical conditional quality is really the heart of even if. Like, even if is always looking at a possibility, a scenario that hasn't happened or might not happen, but you're considering it. Even if.
Like, the difference is so clear when you compare even though it rained, we went. That rained, it happened, real. Versus even if it rains, we'll go. It might rain, we don't know yet, hypothetical.
And even if is so used for expressing determination or commitment, like, I'll be there even if I have to walk, meaning no matter what happens, no matter what obstacles, I will be there, even if.
And that use of even if for expressing determination is so powerful. Like, even if everyone says no, I'll keep trying. Or, I'm going to do this even if it takes 10 years. Like, nothing will stop me, even if.
And even if is also used for dismissing a concern or objection. Like, even if that's true, it doesn't change my decision. Meaning, I'm acknowledging the possibility, but it doesn't matter. Even if it's true, my decision stands.
And that version is so useful in debates and arguments, in any situation where someone raises an objection and you want to say, okay, I hear you. But even if that's true, here's why it doesn't change things.
And even if often pairs with still, like even if she apologizes, I still won't trust her, meaning in the hypothetical where she apologizes, it still won't be enough. Even if, still.
And what if and even if are related but different. Like what if opens a question, what if this happened? But even if answers it. Even if that happened, here's what I'd do.
So even if introduces a hypothetical condition, something that might happen or might be true, shows determination or dismissal of a concern, and is always about possibility, not reality, unlike even though and although. Okay, last one. Despite. And this one is really elegant and really useful because it does the same job as the others, but in a more compact, more formal way. Right, so the core job of despite is to show contrast, like the others, but despite works differently in terms of grammar, like although, even though, and even if all need a subject and a verb after them, but despite is followed by a noun or a noun phrase or a gerund.
Like, despite the rain, we went for a walk. The rain is a noun, not a full clause, despite the rain.
Versus, although it was raining, we went for a walk. It was raining is a full clause, subject and verb. Although.
And that grammatical difference is really important. Like, you can't say, despite it was raining. That's not correct. You'd say, despite the rain, or despite it raining, with a gerund.
And despite has this elegant, concise quality, like it packs a lot of meaning into a small space without needing a full clause.
Like, despite her nerves, she performed brilliantly. Despite his age, he ran the marathon. Despite everything, she smiled. All concise, all elegant, all showing contrast in a very economical way.
And despite everything is one of the most powerful and emotionally rich uses of despite. Like, despite everything, she kept going. Despite everything suggests so much hardship, so much difficulty without naming any of it. And yet, she kept going, despite everything.
That phrase, despite everything, carries such weight. Like, you don't need to explain what everything is. The listener knows. Life, difficulties, setbacks, despite all of it.
And that compression of meaning is what makes despite everything such a powerful phrase.
And despite this and despite that are used in arguments or discussions to acknowledge a point and still hold your own position, like, despite this evidence, I still believe, or despite that, I'm not convinced.
And in spite of is almost identical to despite, like in spite of the rain, we went for a walk, and despite the rain, we went for a walk, mean exactly the same thing.
And in spite of is slightly old-fashioned or literary, while despite is more modern and more commonly used in everyday writing and speech.
And despite yourself is such a beautiful phrase, like she found herself laughing despite herself, meaning she didn't want to laugh or didn't expect to, but she did, against her own intentions, despite herself.
That phrase is so vivid, like when something happens against your own intentions or expectations, despite yourself.
So, despite shows contrast, like the others, but is followed by a noun, not a clause, more formal and more concise, and connects to despite everything, despite yourself, and in spite of as a close synonym. Okay, role play time.
Yes, so the scenario is two friends, Nora and Felix. And Felix is considering a really big life decision. He's thinking about leaving a stable job to start something of his own. And Nora is the person he trusts most to talk it through with.
Perfect. And this role play is a little more thoughtful and a little less chaotic than some of our others, because big decisions deserve real conversations. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Felix, you said you needed to talk. Tell me.
So, I've been thinking about leaving the job.
Okay.
Tell me more.
Even though the salary is good and the security is there, I just feel like something is missing.
How long have you felt this?
A while. Although I've tried to ignore it for about 2 years, it keeps coming back.
What would you do if you left?
I'd start the design studio I've been talking about for years.
Even if it doesn't work out at first?
Even if it takes longer than I hope, even if the first year is hard, yes, I think I'd still go for it.
That's quite something to say.
I know, although saying it out loud makes it feel more real and slightly more terrifying.
I imagine. And despite the fear, you still want to try.
Despite the fear, despite the risk, despite the fact that it might not work, yes, I still want to try.
Then I think you already know the answer.
Do I?
Even though you came here to talk it through, I think you came here because you needed someone to hear you say it out loud.
Maybe, although I'm terrified.
Of course you are. Even if you weren't terrified, it would mean you didn't care about it. And you clearly care about this enormously.
I do. Despite everything telling me to stay safe and stay put, I can feel that this is what I should do.
Then do it. Although, I do have one condition.
What?
Even if things get hard, you call me, okay?
Of course.
And despite whatever happens, I'm proud of you for even having this conversation.
Thank you, Nora. That actually means everything.
And there it is. All 4 words in one quiet, honest, really human conversation.
Did you catch them all?
Even though the salary is good, real contrast, real fact, happening now. Although I've tried to ignore it, more formal contrast, real situation.
Even if it doesn't work out, hypothetical, might happen, not real yet. Even if it takes longer, another hypothetical, possible future scenario.
Although saying it out loud, contrast with a real, ongoing experience. Despite the fear, noun phrase, no full clause, elegant and concise.
Despite the risk, noun. Despite the fact that it might not work, noun phrase. Even though you came here, real, happening now.
Although I'm terrified, real, contrast with the decision. Even if you weren't terrified, hypothetical, conditional.
Despite everything telling me to stay safe, powerful compressed noun phrase. Although I do have one condition, soft formal contrast. Even if things get hard, hypothetical future.
Despite whatever happens, compressed, elegant. All 4 words used naturally, meaningfully, in one deeply human conversation. Okay, quiz time. 10 sentences. Let's see how you do.
Listeners, fill in the blank with the right word. Although, even if, or despite. Ready?
Sentence 1. Blank, blank, she practiced every day, she still felt nervous before the performance.
Even though she practiced, real contrast. She really practiced, it really happened, and yet she still felt nervous.
Sentence 2. Blank, blank, his experience, he struggled with the new system.
Despite his experience, noun phrase, concise, powerful, contrast, he struggled regardless.
Sentence 3. Blank, blank, it's the last one, I'll still give it to you.
Even if it's the last one. Hypothetical, conditional. It might be the last one or might not be, but even so, I'll still give it to you.
Sentence 4. Blank, blank, the weather was perfect, only 10 people came to the event.
Although the weather was perfect, formal contrast, real situation, would work well in a report or formal account.
Sentence 5. I'll support you, blank, even though I disagree with your decision.
Even if. I'll support you even if I disagree with your decision. Hypothetical. I might disagree or I might not, but either way, I'll still support you.
Sentence 6. Blank, blank, I knew it would be difficult. I applied anyway.
Although, or even though, both work here. Although I knew, more formal, Even though I knew, more personal, more emotional. Both correct.
A 2-for-1 answer.
The quiz being generous today.
Sentence 7. Blank, blank, the criticism she kept creating.
Despite the criticism, noun phrase, concise, powerful, she kept creating regardless.
Sentence 8. Blank, blank, nobody else comes, I'll be there.
Even if nobody else comes, hypothetical, they might not come, but even in that scenario, I'll be there.
Sentence 9. She smiled, blank, she was heartbroken.
Even though she smiled, even though she was heartbroken. Real contrast. Both are real, both happened, and the contrast between them is what's significant.
And last one, sentence 10. Blank, everything, she remained hopeful.
Despite everything, she remained hopeful. The most powerful use of despite, compressing all difficulty, all hardship into one word. Everything. And still, she remained hopeful.
That sentence always hits.
Every time. Listeners, how did you do? Drop your scores in the comments.
We love reading every single one. Okay, let's bring it home. Today's 4 words.
Although.
Shows contrast between 2 real facts, more formal, more measured, preferred in writing, essays, and professional contexts, can go at the beginning or middle of a sentence, and can trail off at the end, signaling a qualification.
Even though.
Does the same job as although, shows contrast between 2 real facts, but has more emotional emphasis, more energy, more conversational feel, the go-to choice in everyday speech, and always deals with reality, not hypotheticals.
Even if.
Introduces a hypothetical condition, something that might happen or might be true. The key difference from even though. Even though is real. Even if is possible. Shows determination or dismissal of a concern, and often pairs with still.
Despite.
Shows the same contrast as the others, but is followed by a noun or noun phrase, not a full clause. More formal and more concise, and connects to despite everything for compressed, powerful meaning, despite yourself for acting against your own intentions, and in spite of as a close, near identical synonym.
Oh boy, 4 words, 1 world of contrast.
And the simplest way to remember them is this. Although and even though are followed by a subject and verb and deal with reality. Even if is followed by a subject and verb but deals with hypotheticals. Despite is followed by a noun and is the most concise.
That is the clearest, most useful summary of these 4 words I've ever heard.
Although I wasn't sure how to explain it.
Even though you'd been thinking about it all week.
Even if I'd had more time, I don't think I'd have done better.
Despite everything, you did beautifully.
All 4 in our goodbye, again.
We genuinely cannot stop.
Okay, before we go, your challenge this week.
And today's challenge is a writing one.
Write 4 sentences about your own life. 1 using although,
1 using even though,
1 using even if,
1 using despite, and make them real, like about something you actually feel or think or have experienced.
because using these words for real, personal things is how they actually stick.
Drop them in the comments. We genuinely love reading those.
Every single one.
If today helped you, hit that like button.
And subscribe if you haven't already.
New episodes every week. Real English, real conversations.
Share this with someone who confuses these 4 words.
Although they might not admit it.
Even though they definitely should.
Even if they resist it first.
They'll thank you despite themselves.
All 4 in the share suggestion.
We really cannot help it. This has been Business English Desk. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jamie, and we'll see you in the next one.
Although life is sometimes hard.
Even though things don't always go as planned.
even if you feel uncertain.
Despite everything, keep going.
Bye for now.
Bye.